I would like to know, I think I'll start with you, Michael, if there was any other episodes that really stand out for you where you had a very special experience or a very particular or strange experience.
Wow, that's a very difficult question. I mean, we shot for 4 years, and at the end of the 4th season, all of the actors will tell you that you'd get the script and just turn the page and go, oh my God, you can't be serious. Whoa, we want us to do what? So which ones stand out? Certainly Tie Me Down. It was very dear to my heart for obvious reasons. I would have to say that season 3, Down on the Planet, I'm so incredibly proud of that season for so many reasons. And you probably all know the tale that when I got the script at the end of season 2 and I was going to go down to the planet, I thought, no way, Ty would not leave the ship. And I did call Ron and tell him that I did not agree with that at all. He's a career soldier. He has no interest in leaving the ship. He's here to do this job, and he would not leave. We had that discussion, and Ron persisted, and off I went to the planet. But look at the arc that they wrote for me down on the planet. So I would say the whole of, or a good part of season 3, I think, is the most incredible to me. But they're all of them.
And can you tell us about the transition from filming on set in the Galactica to then doing the New Caprica scenes, the outdoor stuff, things like that? Any of you?
What do you mean by the transition?
I mean the differences in what it took to film the planet side scenes versus the scenes on the ship.
Well, New Caprica wasn't much of a planet in actuality. It was in a rock quarry, right?
Yeah.
It was in a quarry outside of Vancouver.
Sand.
A lot of sand.
Yeah.
And they
Cold, muddy,
out
sandy,
towards the airport.
wet.
And there was just like
And
a
they
berm
painted it
around
gray.
it. It was a lot of smoke and mirrors because the art department, the production, basically built the tent city in such a way that from almost any angle that you were shooting, something was sort of blocking the horizon. So you couldn't see the downtown buildings, you couldn't see this or that. But it was a fairly tight space, and there wasn't a lot of room in between the tents and all that. So there was really just an illusion that there was a whole city out there, and then we enhanced it with some CG material to sort of extend the city in some masters, but surprisingly little. Most of the coverage, if you actually look at the episode, is not CG, and it's mostly just the practical tents. And we were out there, oh God, for days. You know, we did the cliffhanger of season 2 out there, and then we came back to shoot on those to the same location, rebuilt the tent city, and knew that we were never going to be able to put the city up again. It was an extraordinarily. It was probably our most expensive location overall in the history of the show. So we knew that once we struck it, it was never coming back. And we had this notion. I had this notion of, well, after this experience, when the characters go back to the Galactica, they're probably going to, I want to do the flashback episode where, because we had, as you know, we had jumped ahead a year in the narrative. There's suddenly, we're 1 year later. Well, all these things had happened in the 1 year, and I knew that the audience would want to experience some of that. We'd want to sort of fill in some of the blanks of how Starbuck got married and what happened to Ty and various things. And the only opportunity to do that was while that location existed, while that tent city was up. But we didn't have that episode. There was no future episode about what the flashbacks were going to be. So I had Michael Taylor, who was one of our really good writers. I asked him to write a series of just scenes of that I said, and these will be flashbacks for a later episode. And he said, well, what's the show about? I said, I have no idea. We're not gonna answer that question right now. What we're gonna do is you're gonna write the scene where Kara, and Lee hook up for the first time, and then the next day, she marries Michael Trucco, whatever his character is, Anders. And you're going to write the scene of the day after with Ty, and you're going to write where Tyrell and Callie, all these scenes, and there's no structure in between, but they're just going to be flashbacks. And eventually, don't worry about it, trust me, eventually we'll use it in something. And so we just shot all those while the sets were existing, while the location was there. And then the sets were struck, and we went back to Galactica and kept filming. And we had all these scenes sitting around doing nothing. And it was, then came the day where we had to figure out what that episode was. And we were in the writer's room, and I honestly don't remember whose idea it was, but somehow the notion of a boxing tournament came up. And I said, let's do it within that framework. They're having this boxing tournament, and each of the characters is just kind of remembering what had happened on New Caprica. And so then Bob Young came and shot that particular episode, and we had these flashbacks that we just inserted in. But the interesting thing to me, and I don't know if you guys agree or not, when I look at that film, the flashbacks were shot before the actors knew what episode they were going to be inserted into. So they were sort of pure. They weren't, when you're shooting a show, a traditional episode, and you're shooting present day, and then you're shooting a flashback within it, the cast reads the script and they know the context. Oh, I'm remembering this, I'm boxing with somebody and I'm thinking about this scene. So then they go and you shoot the flashback scene, but it's sort of influenced by the fact that they know what it's going to, cut to in the present day. But those flashbacks had no context. So they were sort of, in my opinion, they kind of played pure. They were pure memory. They weren't tilted in a way to sort of fit in with a later memory of it. So I don't know if you guys agree if it plays that way for you, but I thought that was a fascinating sort of way that all played out.